All right, welcome to another Weekend No Show. My name is JG. I'm here with my boy CL Smooth. What's up, man?
What's good? What's good, fam?
Hey, man, what's going on? And we got the insidious LAT in the house.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, guys. Thanks for being here. And we got a special holiday-themed show today. And, of course, the upcoming holiday, Valentine's Day. And we wanted to talk about it, but we also wanted to we wanted to go over probably the defining movie of Valentine's Day, which actually is called Valentine's Day, and it was from 2010. And what I saw of this movie, I mean, I guess we'll get into it, but let me just read the description of this movie. And it says here, intertwining couples and singles in Los Angeles break up and make up based on the pressures and expectations of Valentine's Day. So, I guess I'm going to start with you, CL Smooth, man. What did you think of this movie?
Well, I think it was maybe a PG or PG-13 movie, but ladies and gentlemen, you might want to put the kids to bed because it's about to be some explicit language in our discussion of this movie. Because this is some bullshit. Okay. I don't ever want to do a romantic comedy discussion again. Okay.
This is the only live one though, man.
This was a waste of my life, man. Okay. And after I was about 10 minutes in and I was like, have I ever actually in my previous life watched a romantic comedy? Because I hate this shit. I really, really dislike this movie. But I made some notes, man. Couple different things. I won't do all of them off top, but let me go through a couple things. First of all, the movie was not enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? Not just because, I'm not against romance, right. Some adult situations, some strong language, nudity, all the good things that make a quality movie. I'm not against any of that.
Right.
But this movie just was not, I don't know, it wasn't compelling. You know what I mean? The story just didn't grab me and it just seemed very kind of superficial. I could have wrote that shit,
Right.
Could have wrote that last night. And it was really actually very good actors in it. Julia Roberts and Bradley Cooper and Jamie Foxx and Ashton Kutcher and all these different, decent actors in there.
There are actually 4 Academy Award-winning actors in this movie.
There you go. So you're like, how can it be so bad? It's a story, baby. It's a story. It's nonsense, at least for the male mind. And on that topic of the male mind, because I know men and women kind of view things a little bit different on different subjects. So I'm gonna give you a bullet point of something that kind of resonated with me. So there's the girl. I think that's Taylor Swift, right? And she was dating some track dude.
Yes.
So he gives her this huge plush fur bear. Shit was big, man. Right?
Yeah, it was life
must
size.
Have been like life size bear. Must have been super expensive, right? And she was carrying it around, showing it off, and she loved it and all this kind of stuff. And this bitch turned around and gave him a present, wrapped in this pretty box, nice bow. The present looked great, right? And I want you to remember that concept. The outside of the box, the present looked fantastic. Now, I'm gonna go deeper with you on this, but just remember that point. He opens up the box, and inside is his old track shirt, jersey, hoodie,
yes,
whatever
I remember.
that he gave to her or she took, or how girls be taking clothes and stuff like that, right? It's his old track jersey, and he's like, "Oh, this is my old track shirt," and she's like, "Yeah, but I ironed on your lucky number 13 on that."
Yes.
And he was like, "Oh, well, that's actually your lucky number, 13."
Yes.
And then she starts pouting, and he's like, "Oh no, but baby, I love it." So this chick gives her boyfriend, who probably spent, I don't know how much one of them bears cost, $100, $200, maybe more,
couple hundred at least,
couple hundred, right? Gives him his old T-shirt. I don't even think it was a hoodie, man.
Yeah. No, it was a tank. It was a tank top. It was.
tank
It wasn't
top.
even a t-shirt.
Not
It
even
wasn't
a
even a t-shirt.
t-shirt.
It was
It
a
wasn't even
tank top.
Damn.
so it wasn't even didn't even have as much cloth as a t-shirt, man. And she got one of them sticky iron-on things with a jersey number on it for an old t-shirt that he probably even forgot he ever had, that she had took from him, and it wasn't even his favorite number, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, isn't that just the way? And I know people be like, oh, it's the thought that counts. Well, let me ask you, if he had given her an old t-shirt with whatever printed on it, pink bears or some shit, instead of that plush, expensive animal, would she be as happy with this dude? No, man. No. And so let me get to my point. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, like,
Let me get to my point. He gives her a great present, something he knows that she would like from his heart, and expensive, because that's important. Why? Because he knows that that'll make her happy. That's what men do. What does she do? She got some shit she had laying in her drawer that she had took from him and put the least amount of effort into giving him. But she put it in a really pretty box. So young fellas that might be listening to this podcast, here's the wisdom, right? From Uncle CL. Okay. When you out here dating, you're gonna see all these pretty girls. Brothers, that's the pretty box with the bow on it. How they look, the makeup, the heels, right? The hair, all that. That's the pretty box, man. But when you start to get to know her, you open up that box inside, you start to realize, oh shit, ain't nothing but a dirty t-shirt in this motherfucker. All right. So be very careful, young brothers, what boxes you open up, right? Pun intended. Be very careful what boxes you open up. You might not be happy with the present you get inside. That's it. That's all I had to say about that, man.
Yeah. The wisdom has been unleashed here. Thank you.
all right.
Oh, I mean, I got more points to make, but that's enough for now.
No, please, by all means. We got time. What else?
No, let me kick it to Val, and then I can bring up other stuff later.
Okay.
All right, I'll jump in. So let me just start off by speaking directly to my friend JG.
Dun,
Oh,
dun,
bruh.
dun.
Bruh, what did we ever do to you, man?
What did we do to you, dog? What did we do to you?
Did we wrong you at some point?
Must
And you
have.
just-
I'm sorry, I've been your hype man.
Okay. What they're speaking of, this is my idea. This was my idea to watch this.
Oh, sure as hell wasn't our idea.
Yeah, I thought we could have a nice discussion about this, but I see that's not possible right now. That's not possible. But anyway, Val, please continue.
All right. So that being said, I am clearly not a fan of the movie. And more, a little more general, it was just lazy storytelling. And it's Love Actually, but on Valentine's Day. It's the same, inconceivable plot twist. It's like, no, this isn't real. And I'm gonna, you spoke specifically about the whole Taylor Swift storyline. I'm gonna talk specifically about the Patrick Dempsey, Ashton Kutcher, Jennifer Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
In all of fucking LA, what are the chances that the guy whose side piece, happens to go into the flower shop of her best friend, and he tells this guy who he doesn't know from Adam, one's for my wife, one's for my side piece. Get the fuck out of here.
Right,
Such lazy storytelling. But it's okay because it's McDreamy and Ashton Kutcher, and so the problem with these kind of movies is I think they don't give a fuck about the storytelling, because they are like, people, we're going to pack it so full of stars that people just want to see all these stars. And so we can just feed them any inconceivable story at all possible. So that was my major problem. And again, much like Love Actually, and I know this isn't Love Actually, but much like that, the black characters, they fuck up them. They get the least interesting storylines, or they're the simps, because Jamie Foxx was a simp in this movie. Yeah. It's so either they're the simp or they get the I mean, it was good to see Latifah, but why'd they even bother? I mean, good, get your money, sis. But also, why'd you show up?
Yeah. Yeah, she got that check. That's what I kept thinking. Get that check.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, lousy storytelling, the two, actors of color don't get any real meat. But then again, maybe they didn't want the meat. They're like, yeah, I'll take your 2 mil, but
Right.
still. The sort of how everyone just happens to be either live in the same building again, my best friend happens to be fucking this dude and he comes into my shop, uh I'm trying to bring in the Emma, the not Emma Roberts, the other Academy Award winning chick. She was in Les Mis. What's her name? Um, oh gosh, Hathaway. You know, like that whole Hathaway storyline. You know, I'm a phone sex operator, but I'm doing it on my cell phone at work. And it's like, come on, people. This is dumb.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
what offended me most about the movie, I mean, I get it, it's Hollywood and it's a date movie, but it was just, I'm like, this would not happen. And I was like, it's not believable. And I like all these actors, but I don't like them enough to sit through this bullshit.
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
that's
truth be told, Vel, man, I had to watch that shit on 2x speed, man. I'm not joking.
If we're putting truths out there, I didn't actually watch all of it. I watched a lot of scenes. I watched a lot of scenes. I read the synopsis. And then
Oh, so
then
you did the Cliff Notes version.
exactly. And then I listened to some other reviews, and I'm like, okay, I get the gist of it.
So you cheated, what you saying, Vel?
You dirty MFs. You dirty MFs.
No, listen, I watched the whole thing.
No, I watched the whole thing on normal speed.
No, I couldn't do that.
In normal time.
Nah, not happening.
And I endured the pain for 2 hours of whatever that was. I endured 2 hours of pain. You all are nutting up, man.
Listen, well, what the audience doesn't know, what they know now, is that we've already suffered this torture in Love Actually. So I was just like, more of the same. So I apologize to my co-hosts, my brothers, but also I am not sorry.
There was one quote that I caught in the movie that I did like. It said it was like the fill-in newscaster said, "Young love, full of promise, full of hope, ignorant of reality."
I like that too. I like that.
I like that because it's true, but also it applied to the damn movie, right? Full of promise with all those great actors, but ignorant of reality. Like,
yes,
get the shit off my screen.
Yeah.
And JG, I'm gonna let you get in here, but we're gonna have to talk about Taylor Swift's dancing at some point.
Oh dear God. Yeah, that was completely messed up, man. I mean, when I looked at this movie, and here's the thing though, even though the movie was vile and insipid and it disgusted me, it still didn't make me want to puke like Love Actually. I don't know. This movie was somehow not as, it was like a nothing movie where there was no intrinsic value whatsoever, but it wasn't like as toxic as Love Actually. Love Actually made me angry. It really did. When that dude showed up with the note cards behind his boy's back. I remember just being like, what the F, and in this one, I never got that. Yes, I was disgusted, but not to that degree. And I actually looked up this movie, like, okay, what is the deal with this movie? And this is like America trying to capitalize, trying to outdo Love Actually, trying to copy it. So of course they both succeeded and failed. And I'll tell you some of the things that I took some notes too, like so Anne Hathaway, she's do these phone sex lines exist in 2010? That's when this movie came out.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm like, I don't know.
I asked that too.
That was from the 80s, wasn't it? And then it's funny how it's, or not funny. It was supposed to be funny that she's like caught every time she does this. Somebody catches her. I'm like, please, what is this crap?
Yeah.
And then another bullshit child storyline of you're not in love at that age. You're like, please, I'm trying to get these GI Joes and these Transformers.
Right.
What's up with these cartoons and cereal? Yeah.
I don't care what those girls are doing, and this mofo is like, I'm in love. She must know that I love her. Like, what is going on here?
I mean, I no spoiler, but also the person who he was in love with, fuck off, writing.
Yeah. I mean, it was just. And here's one thing though, I'm not a fan of Julia Roberts, and I'm just like, when I see Julia Roberts, I'm like, oh, I kind of recoil, and I'm like, oh God, no. There was the scene where you notice how Ashton Kutcher, he was wearing pink the entire movie. He always had to wear pink. And here's one thing that I will say. I think that Jessica Alba was like set up to be the bad guy, but she really wasn't. I mean, yes, she could have handled it a little bit better, but what was she supposed to do? Say yes? I mean, she didn't want to. She had to tell him. She had to be honest. And then it's like, if you're willing, you move that quick and you jump onto your best friend and it turns into a thing. It seems to me like that whole thing was a wash at that point.
Right.
And I just didn't. We saw her like a couple more times, but I didn't know why. Like she showed up.
If I could jump in on that, JG, because there's a whole bunch of themes, and that damn Love Actually movie, was the same thing, sending the wrong messages, right? So just in that little snip that you talked about, he asked Jessica Alba to marry him. She's less than enthused about it, and then she calls it off, right? Yeah. And then he, like you said, flips to his friend pretty quick, like, oh, actually, all along it's us that should have been together, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what message is this sending? Obviously, he was. I don't know if they ever said how long he was dating this girl before he asked her to marry him. But it's kind of like, okay, Jessica Alba, maybe there's reasons not to marry him. Why are you with him? You know what I'm saying? And it's sending this message, to kind of take it back to the real world, where girls get into these relationships with guys that they don't really want to be with, but he's just a placeholder to keep her entertained until she finds what she really wants, and then she'll cheat on him with that.
Yeah, she was just marking time.
Just marking time, right? And the movie, the way they display all this, they make that seem like that's normal behavior when it's not normal behavior, right? And let me tie that together with two other points, and then let you guys jump in on it. One of the things I got out of this movie is that it's kind of sending the message that love means accepting, forgiving, everything.
Oh yeah, that was BS.
In particular, and probably most especially when it means men accepting, forgiving women, whatever they're kind of bringing to the situation, right? And so I'm looking at two specific examples. One is the one that you brought up with Anne Hathaway, who's doing like the phone sex on the side and whatever, or calling people and whatnot. And it's kind of like the guy is supposed to accept that, and the fact that he doesn't initially, there's something wrong with him. Now, I'm not judging what she's doing, right? That that's her call. She can do whatever she wants to do, and he can accept it if he wants to. But the movie sets it up to shame him for not accepting it in a way, right? Then the second example is grandma and grandpa, right?
That's the most egregious one.
That's the most egregious one, where it comes out that, I don't know, was it 50 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever, when they were young, and he was away on work or whatever, she got lonely and had an affair with his business partner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't obviously react well to that. They've been together for, their whole lives. He thought, and it all came up for the audience in a discussion of, they were talking with, I think the babysitter or niece or whoever she was, about the grandfather was basically saying, he had only ever slept with one person in his life, his wife.
No, wasn't that their daughter?
I think it was the babysitter. I think it was the babysitter.
She was the babysitter.
Oh, yeah. I thought she was their daughter. Okay.
Yeah. And so, the grandfather thinks that
Julia Roberts was their daughter.
Right. That's right.
Okay. Got it. Now it makes sense.
So the grandfather thinks the grandmother has been faithful to him their whole lives. And you can see on her face immediately, like she did some shit on the side. And finally she tells him, and then he walks out. And then near the end, they meet up, and she's like, I forget the quote, but it's like, love means not just accepting all the good things about people, but all the things that you don't like and stuff like that. And
she scolds him. She scolds him.
Right. Yeah. In a loving way, right? In a loving way, but still she's kind of scolding him that like, you need to accept all of me. And, what they choose to do, again, that's personal preference. But again, the movie is setting up where you have, the subliminal is, as men, you need to accept any behavior from women that you don't like or respect or whatever, because love is greater than that. And I'm not saying you don't have forgiveness and acceptance in your heart, but I also feel like there needs to be room for people, men, to say, hey, nah, I'm not okay with this. It doesn't matter that it was 50 years ago. Like, you betrayed me. I just found out about it now. Now, what he decides to do with that, I mean, that's his call. We're all, different in terms of how we might handle that. But that's part of the problem I have with these movies. It's sending these messages to girls that's like, well, you should, and you see it. Like, if you view anything in social media, it's like, you need to accept, I have all these preferences, but you need to accept me how I am, Like, girl, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my rant on that.
Yeah, that's that thing, like, especially where, like, Anne Hathaway was doing the phone sex, which honestly I would have just laughed at her ass, like, ha ha ha, I can't believe you're doing that shit. Anyway, let's kick it. But
I'd have been like, make that money, ma.
Yeah, I would have been cool. But that he wasn't should have been his call, and he should have been able to make that call without being made to be a villain and be an asshole. Correct. And I think that, and honestly, when he came to her, didn't they say that they had only been dating like 2 weeks? He's talking about love already, which could happen.
It was ridiculous, man.
Which could happen, but it's like, really, love? What? I thought something. Remember when Ashton Kutcher? This is kind of an aside, but he goes to the airport to stop this chick from flying to San Francisco. Weren't those the friendliest airport people you ever?
Dude, I mean, this was 2010, and granted, things hadn't gotten terrible yet. Well, I mean, things were terrible in 2010. There's no way you're rolling through there and and not getting pulled to the side and detained.
No, and you go to the airport, and those people are humorless.
Right.
They don't give a fuck. They're humorless.
Right. Yeah.
Don't come through here. Get your hands out of your pockets. I don't want to hear it. You try to tell them a story, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. And yeah, the people kind of talk smack to him a little bit, but it was kind of friendly banter more than he should have got, a billy club or tased or something running through there. his shoes are off or whatever. And
exactly.
Where's his shoes? Oh, this is so funny. And then they had sassy black security person.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
what?
Of course. Of course.
I was like, get that checked.
I cannot wait until I see a movie where where at least one of the TS agents isn't a sassy, full, big black woman. Seriously.
Yeah. I was like, oh, please. Yeah, this movie. And I liked the who was the one who hated Valentine's Day and was having the party, the actress Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel.
So
Jessica Biel's
the
ostensibly
hot, sexy loser trope.
Yeah, ostensibly, Jamie Foxx's love interest, but of course he doesn't get her though.
I mean, I think that was on its way to them falling in love, but I'm like, stop putting these. Whatever you think of Jessica Biel, she's considered to be extremely attractive. She's definitely considered to be one of the top ones, and it's like, okay, stop
especially
making dudes in 2010 think that is, she was good looking, man, and I mean, she probably still is. I don't know, but
she's ugly. Isn't she married to Justin Timberlake? That makes her a little uglier.
that makes her ugly, but but I mean, no, like, most folks actually think that some smoking hot chick is like, yeah, she's probably single, man. No one's trying to get with that. And yeah, which yes, does happen, but I hate it when they have these tropes where the girl is obviously like a supermodel, runway supermodel, and she's like, I can't find a guy. I just cannot get anyone. And it's like, maybe you don't click with anyone, but you got options. Please don't make it look like you don't have any options.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure she was turning dudes away.
So I'm gonna redirect some of my vitriol away from you, JG, and
Okay.
and direct it towards Gary Marshall, because he directed
It's
this turd
travesty.
this turd of a movie. So you know what, I've been focusing on some of the negative, but let me say some positive things, or some things that actually tickled me a little bit. So in the scene where the grandparents, reconcile, I thought that it was a cool shot that, one of Shirley MacLaine's movies was in the background.
Yeah.
So I thought that that was kind of cool. I was just like, I'm like, whatever, Gary, but cool. And also way to pay some lip service to someone who's, she's been in the business forever. So that was kind of cool. I'll give Gary a little props on that. I will not give him props on. So I don't know if I did a little bit of homework. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but apparently 13 is Taylor Swift's, like Taylor Swift, the person, that's her favorite number. And
I
so
did not know that.
all the Taylor heads, caught that, and she actually had it on her hand in the elevator in the scene with
I,
Anne Hathaway.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so that's her. I don't know if she put that in her contract, or if that's just Gary Marshall thinking, it'd be cute if we put 13 on you, because all your, I don't know what they call the Taylor fans, all the Taylorites will love this. So there's that. Again, I'm just like, and also, here's the thing: it's Gary Marshall, so he did Pretty Woman. I was like, how did he get fucking Julia Roberts for fucking 10 minutes? Or I'm like, oh yeah, he did Pretty Woman. He called in some favors for this turd of a movie. Even Hector Elizondo and Shirley MacLaine. Why did they seem like they would be above it, but also it was probably a nice quick check. So
Paycheck. Yep.
yeah. So, I just wanted to throw that in there because like I said, I hit the Wikipedia and it has all those kind of like pop culture tidbits. And I knew that I didn't know the movie, but I was like, that looks like Shirley MacLaine. That looks like a younger version of her. And turns out that's some movie that she was in.
And before we get any like criticism, because it's like, oh, why are you criticizing these movies? They're not made for guys, and you know the action movies and stuff you watch can be just as bad. Hey, I get it. We have some of the same criticism of like Marvel movies and action movies and stuff like that. While we like all those characters, right, and maybe the actors, if the story is not solid, it ruins the whole movie. It's not like we are incapable of appreciating,
Yeah.
a movie based on love and drama and comedy and all that. We love all those elements. It's all good. But if the story that pieces it together is not solid, man, like it just you feel like you wasted your time.
Well, and along those lines, I'm gonna go, it's literally along those lines. I just rewatched Black Adam, and my initial, thumbs up is no longer a thumbs up. Having watched it, having some time, I was just excited to see The Rock because I know he worked on it. He worked hard, but having watched it again, visually it's great. Great special effects. It looks like I imagined, the comic, how you imagine the comics in your brain. So it looked good. But I was just like, again, maybe I don't know. Maybe I expect too much, but I was like, this is lazy.
Mm.
It was nice, but upon revisiting it, I was just like, and I know we're not talking about Black Adam, but I know us offline we talked about it last week. So I just wanted to kind of make a connection. I also thought that was lazy storytelling too. It was
Right.
an origin story where they did the origin story in the first 10 minutes, and I was like, all right, we're just gonna have Rock fight and kill people for the next hour.
I was okay with that. But
Well,
that's what
maybe
I
we need
wanted
to
to
talk
see.
about that next time.
Well, I'll tell you guys something is that I've often thought for years now is that I have a innate disdain for these rom-coms and these romances, and I've even told people like, man, is there something wrong with me? It's like, isn't it that shouldn't we want love? Shouldn't we want to see these positive things? I watch stuff where there's explosions and people getting their asses whooped and shot and screaming and car crashes and things just going to crap. But that's what I want to see And sometimes it's like, okay, I laugh at women because they like these romance and rom-com things, and then I like these male power fantasies. As this guy's powerful, man. He's blowing up shit. Nobody can stop him. He's killing everybody. And
Right, right.
you're like, yeah. It's like, okay, I gotta take a step back here. But is this what I really want? But I think
So,
it's like, no, that's not my life. I want to see stuff that is not um real, is not possible. I know it's not real, but I think these rom-coms,
oh,
they try to make it like this could really happen. I think women sometimes expect guys to behave like this, and it's not real, and that's one of my problems with
oh,
this.
it sounds to me like you're positing that. I mean, what I'm pulling from that is that you're positing that rom-coms are like action flicks for, for women. They know it's not real, but they
I
enjoy
don't
the
I
they
don't
they
know if
enjoy
they
the
all know
fantasy.
it's not real. I
Yeah, I
think
think
they
they
see
think it's
this
real.
behavior. I think they see this behavior, and they expect, like, look at when guys chase a woman to the airport. They show up at her job. They do all stuff. That's stalking. I
That's
mean,
literally stalking.
it's stalking. But in the movie, it's like, oh, he's interested. What are you doing here? I found out where you live. It's like, oh, okay. Thanks for looking me up, I guess. But um, I mean, I'm trying to think of. I think I watched a couple movies that were decent that could be considered a romance or something. There was one with Keira Knightley. It was called Last Night, and I think that was one where I'm like, oh, I wasn't puking into my puke bucket, so it must
Right.
be pretty decent. What did we think about Bradley Cooper? And I don't know the other actor who's the football player. I don't know his name, but
Before I went back and after before I went back and hit the Wikipedia, I was like, did Shonda Rhimes write this? Because those are both Grey's Anatomy actors. That's McSteamy and McDreamy, and I apologize that I know that,
oh,
but
is
whatever. I watched it for a while.
Bradley oh, I
Now,
didn't. We both watched. I watched that first season of that show. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
yes,
I didn't even
yeah,
think of that.
yeah. So I was like, did Shonda Rhimes write this? Because it's along those veins.
Yeah.
But she didn't write it. But
Okay.
yeah, you know what? Here's the thing about the Bradley Cooper and Drew. I think again, I think wasn't that around the time that The Hangover? So I think that was just we're gonna put these names in here because neither of them neither of their storylines really meant. I mean, none of the storylines meant anything. But those in particular, I'm like that's just star power.
But I mean, were you shocked when it turned out that Bradley Cooper and then the football player were in a gay relationship, and then he showed up at the
Yeah, I mean,
end?
sure, but it was a surprise. But also, I'm like, of course,
I mean, I wasn't shocked because when you start adding up the players and you're like,
exactly
who hasn't been dealt with yet? Okay,
right,
that's how you know Julia Roberts is this awful kid's mom, and then there's no one left. It's got to
right.
be Bradley
Exactly. Which
Cooper.
which explains why even though that stewardess was throwing herself at that he was not interested at all, even though that stewardess was throwing herself at him. So
Yeah, she was throwing it pretty hard.
yeah, yeah, he was and I stole this from another podcast. He was dodging, much like, and we'll talk about it later because I want you guys to come on, which we can talk about offline. I want you the guys come on my last Dragon podcast, but I listened to some other podcasts, and the funniest thing I heard was like Bruce Leroy, he could take a punch, but he avoided pussy like it was nobody's business.
Yeah, he did not want that shit. No, you can keep
Yeah,
that, ma'am.
right.
That's for sure. But guys, we're coming to the end here of this weekend no show. Can we just sum this up? I'd like you guys to sum it up. CL Smooth, can you sum this up for us? And then we'll have LAT sum this up. What do you think, CL Smooth?
A complete waste of time, some garbage, sends terrible messages, lazy
Okay.
writing, terrible artwork. Don't go watch it. Don't see anything like it. Uh, shall I continue?
well, well, I mean, I think that was very succinct. Thank you. Can we
Hey,
get
but it was fun to
LAT?
talk about, man. It was it was enjoyable to
Yeah.
discuss it.
Yes, yes. LAT. How about you, man? What do you think?
All right. So I'm gonna say if this is your wheelhouse, have at it. But don't go in it, expecting, great storytelling or not even great acting. I mean, nobody did terrible, but it's, everybody phoned it in. So just, know what you're getting into. If you have, spoiler alert, it's a bunch of people got paid well to phone in some 20-minute performances. So yeah, that's all I got to say. It is what it is. Not my bag, but if you're into it, have at it.
Okay. Well, thank you, man. And I think that if we weren't single before, we will be now when they hear this shit. But anyway, to wrap this thing up, man, I want to say have a happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. Despite what we said, we do wish everyone the best in life and love. Just not this movie, because this shit was
Love
whack.
conquers all, y'all. Love conquers all.
It conquers all. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. It is going to be This Weekend No Show. I'm JG. My boy CL Smooth and LAT say goodbye, guys.
Peace.
Have a good one.
All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next Weekend No Show. Hey, guys, what are we doing after this?
You guys want to,